Okay, in this video I'm going to cover how to create pipe joints in Lightwave using subdivision surfaces. So I'm going to start with a disk. In the back view, I'm going to hold the control key down, drag out. Just like in the other videos, we're going to want to keep this to an 8-sided disk. And I'm just going to drag that out in the top view. It doesn't need to be too long for this example. And that looks good. I'm going to accept that. I'm just going to rest that object on the ground so it centers it up. And the first thing I'm going to do is just cap off the ends of the disk, so when we subdivide this, the ends don't get too rounded and they don't distort too much. So I'm going to select the two faces. I'm going to go into multi-shift. I'm going to shift this out a small amount first, and that actually looks pretty good. I'm going to insert another shift by hitting the insert shift button, and then I'm going to inset that the same amount. I'm going to do 15 millimeters shift and then 15 millimeter inset, and accept that. And both of those sides are okay now. So now at this point, if we enter subpatch mode or subdivision mode, both the ends of the pipe are not going to get too distorted. I'm not going to worry about getting rid of these n-gons on the sides right now. Maybe we'll go back in the end and take care of that, but I did cover that in one of the other videos. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually select this entire object, and I'm going to copy and paste it and move it off a little bit. And I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees with the rotate tool. And then just move it back so it's kind of centered, so the two objects are centered on each other, and deselect that. So there are, and what I'm going to show anyway is two different types of pipe joints or pipe intersections. The first one, which I'll cover right now, is going to show if we had two pipes intersecting like this, so if it was essentially creating an X, but you'd want to still create some type of nice smoothing between the pipes. We could leave this right now and hit the tab key to go into the subpatch mode, and it actually looks okay, but that edge is a super sharp edge, and in real life there might be some welds in there, so it doesn't really look too realistic. And then for the next one I'm going to show is if we wanted to do a pipe joint that was just a T, so not an X but a T. So keeping that in mind, I'm just going to copy out one of these, and I'm going to paste it into an extra layer, so when we start that, we won't have to start from scratch again. So we have these two pipes that are intersecting. I'm going to select one of them. Basically, I selected one of the polygons, and then I hit the select connected key, which is the closed bracket. That selects the rest of the object. And under the construct tab, I'm just going to do a speed boolean, the union. And then I'm going to go to merge and just run the merge to merge all those points on those two objects. I do want to make sure that that the corners at the or the intersection points at the very top and at the very bottom, I think we'll have a tendency not to really merge all the way. So I'm selecting this point right now, and if you look in the bottom left, you see that it's actually showing up as 4 points. So I'm just going to do a weld points on that, so those all merge together, and I'm going to do the same thing on the top. Alright, and then I'm going to just take a quick look in the Polygon Statistics menu to make sure I don't have any loose points or polygons around. And it does look like we have some, let's see. It does look like we have some polygons that are underneath this, so I'm just going to delete those. And right now you can see at this point we're all quads again, and we don't have any loose geometry that we don't want in this object. Okay, so at this point we have our two tubes or two pipes that are intersecting. If we go into subpatch mode now, which is going to look really weird, they're going to fan out into a really fat, ugly X, which is not what we want. So if you've watched any of the other videos, you'll... Oh, I'm just looking really quick. We actually do have 2 points here that are still in need of welding. And I'm going to check the bottom again really quick. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so if you watch the other videos, the next thing which you really need to do is go through and add control loops. So I'm going to go into the top view, and I'm going to use the knife tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag across, and I'm going to try to get this to be almost as close to 45-degree angle as I can. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this on the video, but as you're dragging this out, if you don't have anti-aliasing on your screen interface at all, when this is a perfect 45-degree angle, there won't be any stair-stepping in that blue line or the cyan line that goes across. If it's slightly, not 45, that's probably okay. And then I'm just going to drag this out to create the first control loop. The further out this is, the more of the smoothing or the more of like that weld mark will be. So I don't want this to be too huge. I think I'm going to leave it right around here. And then before clicking OK, before accepting this, before hitting the return key, I'm going to use the right key to create another control loop on the other side. And I'm going to try to make sure that the distance is about the same on both sides. And that looks about good. And now I'm going to hit the return key to accept that. I'm going to go back to the knife tool and do the same thing for the other direction. So I'm going to try to get that as close to 45 degrees as I can. I'm going to drag this out. Now on this one, the thing that you want to kind of hit as close as you can is you want to drag this out, and basically you want to drag this line so it intersects as close to these 2 points as possible. And you probably won't be able to get it exact, and that doesn't matter because we're going to go back through and merge and or weld those points together. And that looks good. And again, before hitting the return key, I'm going to use the right mouse button and do the same thing to the other side. And now I'm going to hit the return key, accept that, and go back into the perspective view. And at this point, I'm just going to go into the full screen mode. So what I'm going to do at this point is, without a doubt, I know we're going to have some polygons that need to be merged or welded together. So I'm just going to go to the merge and see if it does anything on the automatic setting. And it didn't merge anything. So I'm gonna go back again, and I'm gonna put in a larger setting, maybe like 10 millimeters. Okay, eliminate 16 points, and then I'm gonna go back in and just see if we have any more, maybe 25. Okay, and that was way too high because it took out geometry we wanted. So I'm just gonna undo that. Okay, so at this point, you pretty much could be done. But we do have a lot of tries here that I'm gonna get rid of. So I'm gonna go into polygon mode. I'm gonna select these 2 tries right here, and under the detail tab, I'm just gonna merge those polys. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the other sets that are like that. Merge those, and then do the same thing for the bottom side. Okay, and then in the statistics menu, I'm looking, and it looks like we do have a couple of points, stray points. We have 8 of them, top and bottom. I'm just going to select those. Right there, it was listed 1 vertex. Hit the plus key. I'm just going to delete those. And you could see at this point, again, we're all quads. We do have some non-planar quads, but it's not much of an issue because we're going to be subdividing this. So if we hit the tab key again right now, you could see pretty easily we had a pipe joint that went through each other, created an X, and we have a kind of nice smooth weld area on all 4 sides of this sub-hatched object. All right, well, we're starting off where we did last time. We have just 1 cylinder with the ends capped off, so when we subdivide them, they'll stay rounded, they won't distort. And now we're going to go ahead and create a T-joint as compared to the X-joint which we had earlier. So I'm going to go into the top view and zoom in to the middle of it a little bit, and I'm going to use the knife tool again. And I'm going to drag out. Again, we want to make sure this is really close to 45-degree angle, so I'm going to just look at that cyan line and make sure there's as few jaggies as possible. And I'm just going to move that up so it's pretty close to the origin, to the 0 point. And I'm going to have the T-joint come off this way to the right side. So I'm going to want to set up, while I have this, I'm going to want to set up the beginning of our control loops on the outside of this T-joint. So before you click return to accept this, I'm going to click the right key and create my first control loop. And again, as far out as you go, that's how smooth that weld area will be. So I'm going to pick a distance about like this. It looks okay. I'm going to hit return. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other angle. Again, getting it close to 45 degrees. And this time what I'm going to do is you want to make sure that it goes through the origin again. So it looks like we have 3 points getting close to the middle. As you get right in there, it will look like 1 point, even though it will probably still actually be a few points. And then I'm going to right-click again and go on the outside. And essentially you want to get this point on this x-axis line. So I'm going to move that till it goes right on the x-axis line. And that will mean that these two control loops are about the same distance apart from our main cuts. And I'm going to accept that. I'm going to go back into perspective view. And the first thing I'm going to do is go through and weld up these points. I'm pretty sure that we're going to have loose points in there. If you select those, you can see we have 3 points instead of 1. So I'm just going to go and weld those and do the same thing on the bottom. I'll weld those bottom points. And now I'm going to go into polygon mode, and I'm going to select the polygons that are facing towards the right. You don't want to select the ones that are part of the control loop, so just the ones inside. And in the top view, we're going to use Extender Plus, so we're just going to hit that, and then I'm going to, with the Move tool, I'm going to move that out. And essentially, we're creating now our control loop for the beginning part of the pipe that's going to be sticking out. So you'd want this dimension to be pretty close to this dimension. And again, that will ensure that the smoothing is the same throughout. That looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to use Extender Plus again and move this out. Again, this will just determine how far your pipe goes out. You could really make this any distance. And that looks good. I'm going to accept that. And while I have these polygons selected, I'm going to go into the Detail tab, and I'm going to flatten this because we were coming out of that x-axis. I'm going to flatten this on the x-axis, and that will make sure this is nice and even. And then I'm just going to merge those polygons up. And what I will do quickly is just with multi-shift, I'm going to create our control loops. So when we subdivide this one, it doesn't distort and we get nice rounding. Okay, and we actually had I capped off the ends, so these are all quads on the left and right. So I'll just do that really quickly on this one. I'm just going to select those top and bottom points, connect with the L key, go into edge mode, select that, hit the L key, which splits that one, and then with the point selected, I'm going to select these 3 right across and connect those, and that gives us just quads all on the ends. We don't have any end guns at all. So we're almost done with this at this point. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this side. We don't need all that extra geometry, especially the way it is. So I'm going to go into full screen mode. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to merge up a whole bunch of polygons. On this section of the cylinder, I'm going to select all of these parts on the inside and just merge those polygons. Select these 3, merge them, these 3, merge them, and all these sections on this part of the cylinder and merge those. I'm going to go into point mode then, and just, we have these little extra points right there. I'm just going to delete those, and we have a set up here also. I'm going to delete those as well. And then I'm just going to go into the top view. We do have some extra stray points, which I'm going to clean up in a second. But I'm just going to select these points. And then you want to make sure for this, you want to make sure that your action center is set to mouse at the bottom. And I'm going to use the stretch tool and click right on that point. Hold the control key down. I'm going to just stretch all the way down. And that will essentially align all those points. And I'm going to do the same thing for these points right here. Go to the stretch tool, click right on that point with the control key down. Accept that. And now I'm just going to delete these stray points that we have. And that one right there. Okay, and then we just have one more step before we're finished. If you go back into the perspective view, you can see we're actually ending up with a big n-gon here because it's split right on that edge. So I'm going to go into edge mode. I'm going to select that edge, and that edge. And I'm just going to do a connect, so hit the L key. And then in point mode, I'm going to just select those 2 points to connect this up. Again, hit the L key to connect those. That point and that point. Connect it. And I'm just going to go into polygon mode, see if we have any stray points. And it looks like we might have a couple, just on the top and bottom. So I select those in the Polygon Statistics menu. It says one vertex. I just hit the plus key. And I'm just going to hit the delete key to delete those. And now we're pretty much all done. If you look, we're all quads at this point. All the ends are capped off. If we hit the tab key to go into subhatch mode or subdivision mode, you'll see that we have a nice T-joint where the inside corners are smoothed off as if they were welded or rounded. And there you go.